Okay, thank you, everybody. With that, I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, Halle Ramsey with the Center for Rural Affairs, REAP. So, Halle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Welcome, everyone, and thank you to Focus Suites for having me. I'm very excited to share with you all the resources that REAP provides, and specifically with our Women's Business Center. So I am a business development specialist with REAP. And, let's start with what is REAP? REAP is our Rural Enterprise Assistance Project, and we are committed to strengthening rural communities through small, self-employed business development. REAP is a program at the Center for Rural Affairs, and the Center for Rural Affairs is a nonprofit also committed to strengthening rural communities to thrive. And they do that in a variety of ways. Small business development is one of them, which is really what REAP falls under. And so with that, REAP offers 4 essential services, and those are financing, which probably some of you, that's kind of what we're known for, is our micro-lending program, business training, technical assistance, and networking. And I'll get into kind of the nitty-gritty details of those services in a little bit. But I'm very excited to share with you again what REAP offers. And to kind of explain the dynamic of the program, there's REAP, which is our Rural Enterprise Assistance Project, which is a micro-lending service essentially. But underneath REAP, we have the Women's Business Center, which is more focused on business education. And under REAP, we have loan specialists who deal specifically with that micro-lending piece, and then business development specialists. And something that Steve and I know we're talking about before we started the call that's kind of unique about the REAP program is we do have specific Latino services. So we have Latino loan specialists as well as 2 Latino business development specialists. And those Latino loan specialists exclusively work with Latino populations. And our loan specialists do have certain regions of the state that they fall under. And so that for our Latino services, we have a Northeast, a Central, and a Panhandle. And actually our Latino loan specialist who works in the Panhandle also serves non-Latino populations. For our business development specialist, that's kind of a new position under REAP. And of course, trying to kind of figure out the role of this new position in the midst of a global pandemic has presented challenges, but also it's been a very unique experience because we don't really have to have regions because we can connect with people all over the state, and we essentially cover everything outside of Omaha. So our business development team, again, there's 3 of us. One, Raul Arcos Hawkins, is located in Grand Island. And then we have Vicky Espinosa, who is located in our West Point, or our Lyons office. And then there's me, who is in the Lincoln office at the Lincoln Community Foundation building. And then the Women's Business Center director is Jessica Campos, and she is in our Grand Island office as well. But again, we really serve the entirety of the state outside of Omaha. So we do have physical office presence in a few different towns in Nebraska. Our headquarters are in Lyons. And then again, we have a Women's Business Center in Grand Island and then another one in Lincoln. But we also have loan specialists who office out of Scottsbluff, and I think that soon to be Columbus. So we're just making our way through the state. And our staff do have agreements with community partners that allow them to hold regular office hours at their locations. Obviously with COVID, that has stalled a little bit, but we are pretty good about upkeeping our website with the different events going on. So that's a good resource to use to kind of figure out where people may be at. But we're really, before COVID, we kind of, consider ourselves to be a center without walls. And so all of the trainings and the business coaching that we were doing, we really tried to go into the community to do that. As of right now, all of our trainings and coachings and all of our events essentially are virtual for sure through December 2020. And then we'll kind of reevaluate after that. But again, that just leans itself to more opportunities to connect with people all over that you might not have been able to connect with if you were doing strictly in person. So to talk a little bit of the financing, We offer small business loans that range from $1,000 to $150,000. And our CFRA loan specialists have over 50 years of combined experiences. And again, they are specific to the regions that they serve. So our board of directors will consider a project that is above that $150,000 limit, but many conditions have to be met for that to take place. The biggest being that the client meets the definition of the target market. So we do have an online lending system that is pretty robust and offers in-depth analysis of each application. It scores the credit history as well as the risk associated with the kind of business that is applying. And it looks at over, I think, 80 different components and can, with about 85% accuracy, predict the success of a business venture. So this new tool has eliminated hours and hours of staff time spent reviewing applications, credit histories, business plans. Our typical borrowers are not necessarily a good fit for traditional bank loans. And so to serve a more diverse set of clients, our underwriting process is a bit more flexible than traditional lenders might be. Terms are based on a variety of factors, but are scored again on our online application system, including but not limited to capacity to repay, credit score, and specific business success rates. And, you know, the goal at the end of the day for us is to get our clients in a traditional banking relationship. So a lot of times we'll work with them to build their credit or to help them, you know, kind of get back on that traditional banking relationship. That is the intent of the grants and support that we receive from the Small Business Administration and the USDA as well. And then going into our technical assistance, which is essentially business coaching. And that's our second service. And so we offer personal one-on-one business assistance to entrepreneurs and small business owners across the state. Business coaching is offered through our loan specialists, business development specialists like myself, and something that's really unique about REAP and specifically the Women's Business Centers is we have a network of expert contractors that teach a lot of our classes, but also are able to provide more of that one-on-one business coaching to business owners. And their expertises range all the way from QuickBooks and accounting to marketing and sales. And we just have a really great network of people who specialize in different business topics and are really great about going above and beyond to serve our business owners in more of that one-on-one setting, because we know that there are a lot of questions or sometimes people, you know, just prefer that one-on-one connection versus a classroom experience, especially if it's over a virtual platform. So our technical assistance typically includes startup planning, bookkeeping and troubleshooting, accessing capital, and business acquisition and expansion or transition. And a lot of this work is still led by our lending team. The lender works with clients on a one-on-one basis and will assess the needs of the clients. So some assistance can be provided directly by that lending team, but the client may need to temporarily hand it off to a business development specialist or one of our contractors to get that more specialized and those more specialized needs met before they can go forward with their loan application. So a potential borrower may apply for a loan, and as an example, after the assessment of the lender, it could be determined that they need more accounting assistance. So that lender will call on a contractor who will help that potential borrower begin to clean up their accounting practices or assist in the documentation needed for a successful application. And once that assistance is completed, the potential borrower will return to the lender and then proceed with the application. So we have a really great network for a team that will kind of help the business owner in whatever capacity to kind of move them forward, which is really cool that we have so many people that have so many different expertise. And then the business training or business education is pretty much solely directly under the Women's Business Center, which is primarily what I work with. So the business training is managed 100% by our Women's Business Center. The WBC, as we call it, is also a federal designation, and it's meant to bring resources to an underserved population, women business owners. So here in Nebraska, we are home to the state's only women's business center. We are able to provide assistance to the entire state except the Omaha metro area, unless they meet our target market definitions. And something I will say too, because I know I get a lot of questions on it, even though we are a women's business center and we do focus a lot on empowering women and serving women entrepreneurs, we do not turn down men. We really work with people as much as we can to provide that business education. And one of the really cool things is that there's not really a qualification that you have to meet to attend any of these classes. There are some for getting certain amount of hours for that one-on-one assistance, but anybody can enroll for one of our classes. And REAP never charges for those classes. And we do have kind of these different categories of the classes we offer. The two, or I guess the three that are probably most prominent are our Academy series. And those are sector and industry specific. So we have a restaurant academy, childcare, cleaning, and I know we're working on a salon and trucking academy. And then I might have already said it, but a construction academy. I think I got most of them. But most of those academies have been traditionally offered in Spanish. We're working to transfer them to English because we definitely see, especially with restaurants and the childcare academies, those are academies that have been of interest to English-speaking populations. But those, again, are more geared towards industry-specific knowledge. How do you go from, really enhancing, the tacos that you're making or whatever and make it into a business? And that's kind of what that academy is geared towards. And our academy work is funded by an SBA grant and teaches entrepreneurs to start specific businesses. We do also have a COVID series, and those are primarily focused on emergency preparedness. And that is funded by its own grant source, and all of this work is locally determined, what's best for the client or the community. And some of those COVID series have looked like Cybersecurity 101, Building Relationships 6 feet apart or virtually. And so it's been really fun to lean into that and really figure out how we can best serve our business owners in this time of uncertainty. And then we, of course, have our financial education series that focuses on money smarts through SBA and really focuses on the business financing, but also personal financing, what it means to build credit and how to get out of debt and all of those things. So it's a pretty wide variety of the classes that we offer. And I will say, if you ever have any ideas for new classes or a class that you want to bring to your community, we are pretty flexible, and we're always looking to kind of add to that list that we have to really meet the needs of the communities that we're working in. So we're always taking suggestions too, which I think is really cool. And then that fourth and final networking, or that fourth and final service that we offer is the networking piece, which, as we were talking about before I started talking, was it's hard to still have that really authentic networking piece over Zoom, and over these virtual platforms. But we're really working to create cohort-based experiences that allow us to still build community and infuse that business education. So we have been hosting some networking events, and we're still working to get more consistent with the networking events that we're offering. Again, before COVID, these looked like office hours or picking out a venue for local entrepreneurs to connect and share ideas and learn more about new business management practices. And we know that especially in the field of entrepreneurship, it can be incredibly isolating and challenging on top of all that. So we really feel it's important, especially within our rural communities, to build that level of community and genuine connection, because that whole idea of collaboration over competition. And when you talk about that in the scope of community development, we really want to start and continue to build those authentic relationships with, among our staff to business owners, but also business owners amongst each other, or economic developments and chambers, to really focus on that rural community support. So we have in the past done a series of coffee table events. We're working on a name, so for an official name for it. So since they already took Perk up, coffee. But so if you have any suggestions for that, I think we're taking them. But they are about 30 to 45 minutes of networking and discussion of these topics. And this event was actually born out of work in Grand Island and is being replicated and implemented across the state. These events can be scheduled monthly or bi-monthly, depending on the choice of the participants. Again, everything that we try to do is very community driven. So we want to make sure that what we're bringing to the community is what is needed and it's what's meaningful. So again, if you have any ideas of something that you want to bring to your community or your business, we're all ears, and we're here to help make that happen with the resources that we have. And then with the addition of new business development staff, we'll begin to include and bring kind of the skills to the networks that we're continuing to grow as we increase our staff. And so and I guess kind of along with that networking piece, outside of the networks of contractors that we have that really specialize in these different areas of business education, we also have a wide variety of resources and tools that are available to business owners. One that we really focus in on and offer a lot with is the Dream Builder program, which is a self-paced curriculum. I think there are about 13 modules, but again, it's self-paced, and it was created in mind with women entrepreneurs, but it really takes you through the process of, okay, I have an idea. I really like to do this, but am I an entrepreneur? Or do I really want to take this on as a business? Or is it just a hobby that I like to do in my free time? And, that's kind of where it needs to end. So we've really found a lot of success in using that curriculum just for basic entrepreneurship knowledge. What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? And how can I integrate that into the idea that I want? And it walks you through marketing and just basic business development. And the really cool thing is, as it asks you questions and you go through that self-paced curriculum, you fill out, all the questions that they ask you. And at the end of it, you get basically a business plan of what you are working on. So it's a really great tool to utilize for those that maybe can't make it to some of the classes that we're offering, or are still kind of going through what they exactly want that business to look like. It can be self-paced, and they have the opportunity to, again, reach out to our resources and then get them connected further with the questions that may be sparking their brains from the curriculum that Dream Builder teaches. And we are really working to, again, create more cohort-based experiences around that program. And so we're actually working with the Angler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program currently to offer a summer cohort-based experience for the Dream Builder program that would incorporate students from the university, but also rural business owners. We're still planning to have it have a virtual component. So again, kind of like Steve was saying, that anybody can access it and be a part of it, because we really believe that there's so much power in community, and we know that there are so many talented and gifted entrepreneurs all across the state of Nebraska. And so the more that you can get them together, I think the better. And then, of course, we also have partnerships with USDA, the Small Business Administration, Credit Builders Alliance, and we also work with other Nebraska nonprofits such as Grow Nebraska. We currently have a marketing webinar series that we're hosting alongside with them. So always opportunities to learn, and the resources that we have are really full encompassing of what an entrepreneur might go through. So I always say that if I don't know the answer, probably know somebody who does. So it never hurts to reach out and kind of see what that network can provide for you. And so to kind of give a little bit of an idea of what REAP has been doing during COVID, we've been lending, of course. Existing borrowers were offered a 3-month deferment through April and June, and then again in July and September. New and existing clients with an SBA sourced loan received up to 6 months of payments on their loan. And we've been working on deferment implication and debt relief for other borrowers. And then, of course, with the CARES Act lending provided by SBA. And then our training has really not slowed down at all. We've been working to, really utilize that CARES Act assistance for the WBC, and we're striving to really offer courses pretty regularly. We're pretty consistent, and we try, I know for the COVID series, we try to offer between like 3 to 5 classes a month available to business owners to really harness and hopefully offer them a wide variety of topics that they can become better acquainted with. And then, you know, kind of looking to the future, what does REAP look like post-COVID? And this is kind of specific to the Women's Business Center, because that, again, is really the umbrella that I work under mostly. The Women's Business Center is and will continue to offer opportunities for small businesses and entrepreneurs. We will continue to deliver online training, online technical assistance, and virtual site visits and other communications. These services really work to serve a larger demographic and geography, and, you know, still conform to the best practices of trying to limit the spread of COVID as outlined by the Centers for Disease Control and the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Again, we're doing everything virtually for sure through December of 2020, and then we'll kind of reevaluate there. But I really have been encouraged by the community, and it is difficult to continue to build those authentic relationships, and there's really nothing like meeting somebody in person and being able to you know, share that space with them. But it's been really encouraging to see the connections that business owners have been making with community partners and other business owners all across the state who might be working in the same industry as them, or, you know, maybe in a completely different industry, that they can share knowledge that way. So our technical assistance will focus on immediate concerns such as assessing resources, properly documenting costs and losses, cybersecurity threats, reducing, you know, threat mitigation, and just really working to provide all the assistance that business owners need to not only thrive in the face of COVID, but also how do they get back to, or, you know, kind of figure out this new normal, because it will be a new normal with everything that has happened. And I always like to kind of share this a statistic. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here with supporting small businesses. So just a fun fact to share with your friends. But it is so important that we support local and support small and in whatever capacity that we can, whether that's gift cards or prepay services. It's always, you know, I always tell people to ask, you know, how they can support those small businesses. And my boss, Jessica, shared with me the other day this statistic that 48 on average, 48% of each local purchase is recirculated locally, compared to 14% of the purchases with chain operations. So that just kind of goes to show that, you know, word of mouth, and especially in rural communities, the ability to have that connection with clients and with the community really pays dividends. And, you know, as we support business owners, that supports our entire communities. So again, I know I'm preaching to the choir on this, but it's still important, I think, to share. And also, you know, if you know of a business owner or a community partner, we work a lot with economic development boards and chambers to provide this assistance and those trainings too. So if you know of anybody that would be interested, please feel free to send them my way or direct them to the REAP website on the Center for Rural Affairs website. And we'd be happy to connect them to the resources. And again, if I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody who does. So that is what I have today. And again, thank you so much for all of your time. And it was great to hear a little bit about your businesses. Obviously, once we see the light at the end of the tunnel with COVID, I'll be happy to hopefully meet some of you in person one day, because I'm in the Lincoln area, and so looking forward to that. But I can definitely answer questions that you have about the Women's Business Center if you have any.
Anybody have questions for Halle? Halle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your organization provides tons of support to startups and small business owners, and it's sorely needed. And so I really admire and respect what you guys provide to the marketplace. I do have a question for you. With all the bad news we see on TV every night, do you have any success stories that you can mention in rural Nebraska of maybe a business that has succeeded in the face of COVID, and or adjusted their operation, pivoted, so to speak, in order to adapt to the new times?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, Steve, because there is a lot of negative news that we see. And really, we do have a really great series, a really great newsletter that will highlight some of the businesses that we've worked with who have really enhanced or learned to pivot. I know that there have been a variety of businesses who have really just taken all of the challenges that have been presented to them and have used it to take time to really invest in themselves, you know. And so I know that at some of the workshops that we have, of course, we have a confidentiality agreement. So I can't share specific names or anything, but I know that there have been a lot of businesses and business owners who have even taken the time that will go through the academy and or some of the other classes that we offer and talk about how if it wasn't for COVID, and maybe they wouldn't be, you know, at a slower pace, which is never a good thing, but they might not have had the time to really invest in some of these education opportunities and reinvest back into their businesses. So I've been really encouraged as a whole on the level of optimism and the dedication that a lot of business owners have to reinvesting in themselves, even in these times when it can be really easy to kind of just go down that you know, that spiral of, oh my gosh, everything's happening. But at the same time, it's been a really good opportunity for them to reinvest in themselves and learn something new and, you know, really have the confidence to have that resources and those networks to bounce back afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for Haley?
Well, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Perk, but there's some amazing videos out there on YouTube that they have done with women entrepreneurs, others. I mean, one of the most famous is the mealworms, of course. So this might be a good place to plug in some of your girls because a lot of these people are struggling. Let me rephrase that. They're in the process of building their businesses and whatnot, and pretty much what they're facing is probably what your girls or men are facing too. So this is a great resource.
Absolutely. No, I'll be sure to continue to share these opportunities with them because I know, you know, we've talked about it a lot, but the power of community is very potent. So I'll be excited to share more about Perk Up with the clients that I'm working with.
Other questions or other questions?
I'm curious as to the state of broadband in rural communities and how that's affecting everybody right now, especially your startups, or if it is even an issue.
Mm-hmm. And I haven't heard very much, I guess. I know that what it seems to be like is it was such a steep learning curve, I think, for some to just turn virtual or just to know the like how to run a Zoom meeting or, you know, what platforms that you can use to host virtual meetings. I know that broadband in general is an issue in rural communities. I haven't had very many clients that have come to me and specifically stated that that's like a huge issue that they're dealing with. But they've also, I think, been pretty creative in trying to still implement, maybe not completely in-person events, but, you know, still doing safely distanced drop-offs for their products or whatever, since they're more like locally sourced. But yeah, I haven't heard anything so super specific on the challenges, but I know that's definitely a thing. And just even technology awareness and being able to figure out all the different platforms that people are using and use them in an effective way has definitely, I think, been a steep learning curve for a lot of the small businesses that we work with.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Have you had?
Oh, go ahead, John.
Have you had any new startups that began during COVID, and are they being successful?
Yeah, and I guess I should add, I have only been with the center since about like the end of July, so I haven't been on too terribly long. But I know that there definitely has been a lot of success, especially with our sector-based academies. You know, we'll have people kind of go through that maybe have been selling food, for a variety of years, but haven't like really taken the time to learn about all the certifications necessary to become, a food truck or a restaurant or anything like that. And so they have made those steps and maybe haven't officially launched or like had their grand opening yet, but are definitely like geared and ready to go because of the Academy workshop.
Well, Haley, thank you so much for being our speaker today. Very much appreciate your time, and I very much appreciate all that your organization does for small businesses in the state of Nebraska. So thank you, and hope you'll be a frequent visitor on Perk Up Coffee whenever you have the chance. You're welcome anytime. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting for today. I'll leave the meeting room open here for a few minutes in case people want to chat and ask each other questions. But thank you so much.
The mug.
We're phasing into something different, John. So we're not going to do a mug contest today.
Excuse me.
Brooke has convinced me we needed to go a different route on that. So we've got a plan that we're going to be rolling out here soon, but be looking for that. But thanks for reminding me.
My apologies.
That's okay. All right.